Hello everyone, welcome to the Craft Our Stash Cards collab, which is a collab between myself and Stmpgrl, and others have joined us, so they'll be linked down below. So the goal is to make 5-ish cards every month using up paper stash. So my first card is the last card I had made for last Tuesday's live, this past Tuesday, but I didn't get to it, and it's using the Perennial Essence paper, and it's using this one in particular, which has this on the back. So it's using a piece of this, and it's also using the Floral Essence stamp set, and the Ornate Layers dies, and the the Perennial Essence Vellum in the Petal Pink color. It comes in the pink, the Old Olive, and the So Saffron. And I think I actually used a stamp from a different stamp set, and I am not sure which one that was anymore. It was one I used last week for this. So here it is. It's a So Saffron vertical A2 card base. These are both the Ornate Layers dies. This is the larger one. And then this one, let me just open it. These are new. And the Floral Essence is actually carrying over. It coordinates with the Perennial, which I did use. The Perennial, let me see. Perennial Flower Punch. So we used that too, but these are the dies that I used. Oops, hang on, turned it upside down. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. I used these two, I believe, yes. So very ornate, which is what it's called, and then this one's more layering. This I did in Flirty Flamingo, and this I did in the Vellum, in the Petal Pink Vellum. I used Whisper White and stamped in Flirty Flamingo. And so that's what I used on that one. And then on the inside, I did stamp this flower. And I also used one of the flower centers that are partial. I think this one. And that's in So Saffron. And then I masked that. I actually stamped it and fussy cut it. I masked it. And I used this leaf. Now this is carrying over, and this is as well, but I don't think they're bundled anymore in the new catalog. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think they are. So, and I'm not sure, I think they're bundled now, so you'd have to check. If you want the 10% discount to get both, if that's a bundle, use it. Anyway, I masked it, and then I stamped the greens twice, I stamped them in Soft Seafoam, but I ended up coloring them in a combination of Soft Seafoam and Mint Macaron Stampin' Up markers, the dye-based markers that you can get in the Many Marvelous Markers item in the catalog or online. This used the punch, and I just punched it out 3 times. The Perennial Essence punch, Perennial Flower punch. Love that flower. And I use the Retiring Perennial Essence Floral Centers. I love these things. I wish they'd bring them back, actually. 149442 is their number. And then I actually just used the basic pearl, what are these called? Pearl Basic Jewels. Pearl Basic Jewels. And I colored them with dark So Saffron Stampin' Blend. So it just gave it a hint of the yellow to bring out what was in the card. And I put 5 on. The corners here, because I felt like it covered the glue dots that were helping hold the piece down a little bit. And then one on here and one in the center of that flower there. And that is the first card. I think that came out really pretty. So let me get these things out of the way. I'm trying to use up paper because I don't have much left of Perennial Essence, but I might have too much to keep using it for the rest of the month. So that might be going in thank you packets for customers. Okay. Next I used, well, for the rest of these, I used this paper, which is the Bird Ballad. See, empty. This is all I have left, guys, of my Bird Ballad Designer Series paper, which is good because I have a missing I have a folder. So I have a couple long strips, a couple little pieces, and then like 3 6x6 pieces, and another one fairly large. So I probably will just use them, or maybe that'll be cut into a couple card fronts and put in a gift thing too. Anyway, I also used Free as a Bird stamp set. And on the front of this one, this is the first one, I had a strip of this and it fit perfectly. I used the Vellum again from the Perennial Essence, but I used the green. But this time I used the Swirls and Curls Textured Impressions Embossing folder, which is retiring. And that's number 147923. I embossed the Vellum. These are the stitched nested labels. Now they're carrying over as well, but I'm pretty sure these were a bundle in last year's annual, and I don't think they will be going forward. There are some bundles carrying forward, and I don't have the list right here with me, but I don't think that's one of them. I could be wrong. And so I used that. I stamped Your Friendship Means the World to Me in actually basic gray, but then I ended up using this already retired Come Together ribbon combo pack, and this is in Crumb Cake. It's a really nice ribbon. It's thick though, it's wide, I mean. And then I did use, these are retiring also, the Flower Faceted Gems. I used 3 of them in the Calypso Coral type color, which is what's in here. And then inside I just used regular Old Olive, regular Whisper White, and I did stamp this much of the birds, and I colored the flowers in Calypso Coral using blends for all the coloring. Light and dark Old Olive, light and dark Crumb Cake, and light and dark So Saffron to do the birds as well as the light Crumb Cake. And that's all I did on the inside for that. I used Calypso Coral to stamp and stamp off this little flower 3 times here and here. I'm not sure I love that, but it's okay. So that's what I did with that one. The next one, I also used this stamp set. I did not use the stitched nested label dies for the next one. I used the feather paper and the key paper. Just a strip of white. I stamped in basic gray again, The World Needs More of You. And then I brought in this Enjoy Life. I used this little bird here and this little stemmy flowery thing, and I just stamped off a few times with Old Olive and a little bit over here. And this is the Whisper White Baker's Twine, which is retiring, number 124262, and I just colored that with my dark, not my, dark Pool Party Stampin' Blend, and tied a little bow and glued that down with some glue dots. And then these are actually Coastal Cabana, but close enough to Pool Party. And those are the, I don't know what I did with them. They're the glitter enamel dots I thought I had out. Here they are. Yeah. The glitter enamel dots, they actually carried over from 19 to 20. And this is Coastal Cabana, Green Apple Green, Melon Mambo, and Gorgeous Grape. But I used the Coastal Cabana, and I used 5 of them actually. And then inside, I just stamped the little bird again and put a piece of basic Whisper White in. And that's it for that one. And then the next one, keeping this in mind, I had these strips of paper left, smaller strips. I layered them onto a piece of Whisper White and snipped off any edges. And actually, this started off as 5 2/4 5.25 or 5 1/4 inches by 4, but I ended up, it's more like 3 3/4 because I cut a little bit. I couldn't cut straight with scissors. Yeah. Anyway, I cut down 1/8 of an inch off about each side. Now here I stamped on Whisper White this little figure of a lady here. This reminds me of my daughter, so I did it on Whisper White. I cut it out with the stitch nested label dies. These two are also cut out with stitch nested label dies. This is another piece of the bird paper. It's the one with the keys. I think I have a big piece left of that. Yeah. So it's this paper, but I had a small scrap of it, so I die cut that out. And I stamped in, I think Memento Tuxedo Black, Wake Up, Kick Butt, and Repeat. Let me make sure, yep. And here what I did is I used this, and I stamped in Old Olive, and then I stamped off a few times. And then I used my Light Pool Party and colored the background in with that. I've done that before. And then I just used 5 of the Noble Peacock, sorry guys, Noble Peacock rhinestones in Old Olive here, and I used, yeah, 5 of them. So I thought that came out pretty good. I did this technique with those little 3x3 cards in my Christmas video on 10 on the 10th recently, where you just glue down your scraps. Now I've been noticing Kylie Bertucci doing that too, but I've done that for ages, use my scraps, right? And here's another scrap strip, and then I used another stamp from in here which says, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. And I don't think Amy watches my videos, but that one's for her, my daughter. And then the last card I have is on Thick Whisper White. It's a vertical card. Oh, and I meant to tell you, this is on Old Olive. It's an A2, but it's done like cut the vertical way, but turned sideways to open that way. And this is this one. So this time I'm using this paper, the other side of the keys, and oops, and I brought in a different stamp set this time. Oh gosh, everything's falling. A different stamp set this time called Bouquet Bunch, which is retiring, as well as the coordinating Bouquet Bunch dies. This has been in the annual catalog since at least 2018, because that was my first catalog as a demonstrator, 18 to 19 annual, and it was in there. I don't know if it was in there before, but you can see it's in the green. Now this, they changed the label, I guess, last year for the 2019 to 20, because it carried over. And that's number 143666, and the dies are 143659. Beautiful bouquet and Bouquet Bunch dies, and they are retiring, both of them. So here it's Thick Whisper White cut vertically. Oops, I always get something. It's a little, I'll have to get my glue eraser out. Anyway, and Basic Gray, and as a backing. So this is, you know, 5 1/4 by 4, and then the designer paper is 3 3/4 by 5. I used a pearlized white doily, which is retiring, and those look like this, and they're shiny on one side and not on the other. They're number 146936. And this actually is new, which I thought I just had. Yeah, it is from the Tasteful Label Dies. It goes with the Tasteful Touches. It's in the Tasteful Touches bundle with the Tasteful Touches stamp set in the new annual catalog. So I got that in pre-order for this. And I don't know if you can see the stitching on it. And I took my basic gray Stampin' Right, because I didn't have another circle. This is about 1 3/4 inches. So the 1 1/2 inch was, I should have used the 1 1/2 inch to stamp on, and this maybe as the, I think that's right. It seems like it was smaller. Hang on. 1 and, yeah, this is, yeah, I could have used my 1 1/2 around it, but I wanted the decorative edge. This is just slightly smaller than 1 1/2. Anyway, I took the brush end of the Stampin' Right Basic Gray, sort of held it at an angle, and went around the edges to just make it pop a little bit more and put that on dimensionals. The stems are die cut out from the dies in Old Olive. And then these are stamped in So Saffron, Pool Party, and Calypso Coral. And these two are glued down, and the rest are all popped up on dimensionals. And then for the bling, I used a combination of the Old Olive in the Noble Peacock rhinestones again, here, for the little ones. The bow is in the dies, and here. And then I use these clear faceted gems for the big ones for these flower centers. And that, or those are my cards, I should say. So let me bring them all back in. And I just made a variety. I was trying to use up the Bird Ballad paper, which I didn't quite accomplish. I'm also trying to use up the Perennial Essence paper. Those are the two I seem to be the lowest on, so I'm trying to use them. And yeah, I think I made a nice variety of cards, all a little different. Nothing, no fancy folds or anything like that, but just really pretty basic cards that I can send. This one's geared towards someone, but the rest will probably go in my thank yous for purchases, you know, my little packages for other people to use. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a wonderful day. Hugs, love, and peace. Stay safe.